Hey, this is Travis Stirewalt with Air Power Airwaves and Air Power Live, and today I'm joined by Zane Abato and Mark Richardson, and we are going to talk about this: choosing the right spray booth or powder coating booth for your operation. There are a lot of really great examples of this and really bad examples of this throughout the industry, and I think it warrants a little discussion, a little quick discussion on what the listener needs to understand or needs to evaluate properly when choosing the right spray booth. So let's talk about that. Obvious first one would be the footprint.
Yeah, footprint, and understanding that footprint, why they want a specific size. They may come to you and say, hey, I need a 10 by 12 by 20, okay? And what we want to do is understand why they need that size and understand what parts are going in there, what their production needs are, and things of that nature. But we have to also keep in mind, how many operators are going to be in this booth? It could be a big booth, right? Mm-hmm. If it's a big booth, we're thinking about there's three basic technologies. One is cross draft, one is side draft, and one is a downdraft.
Downdraft.
Yeah. Now, all of them have a purpose, and I guess we sell more cross draft and side draft than we do downdraft because that's a different animal altogether. Typically in the automotive industry is where we are with that. But the down side draft booth is a good alternative to that without having to jackhammer the floor. But you have to understand really what you're doing on a daily basis, and so that helps us select the technology associated with airflow. Then we look at the part sizes, and we look at how we handle those parts when they introduce them into the booth, whether it's on a conveyor, whether it's on a cart, and we have to give ample room around that part for the operator to actually spray either powder or liquid.
Part size and actually density. You're worried about that some too.
Yeah. That's correct. What you're saying there is how close in proximity do we hang one part to another?
Not the dense of the actual.
Well, that's part density. You're right.
Yeah, that we talk about with the oven.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter here. But line density is everything. For the operation to be profitable.
That's right.
Well, and as when you're selecting an airflow, you hit on it with part size and how many operators are going to be in there. You want to envision how the air is moving through the enclosure, what their part is, and how they're spraying it. So if somebody were to be spraying a bus, a cross draft solution would not be the way they want to go, because if they're spraying at the back of the bus, the paint particulates have to go all the way to the front of the booth, and as it's doing that, it's all the way down the side of that bus. You want to spray, and whatever the overspray is, get it away from that part as quickly as possible.
The part and the operator.
Correct. So, a downdraft or side downdraft solution would work best for that. So, when you're selecting airflow, those are some things you want to keep in mind.
Right. Also, there's the other things, these ancillary equipment, like a man lift may have to go into a bus booth where the bus is. So we have to give us some additional space when we spec that booth for not only the man lift, but for the distance from the man lift to the bus.
Correct.
Okay. There's a lot of factors that factor in. It's typically, I'll just say it's typically a lot of, you have to consider all things.
Yep.
Production being one of them. It might be a spray and cure booth. Okay, so we're spraying the part, actually getting out of the way, closing the doors, pushing the cure mode, and it cures while it's in the booth.
Yep, which would be for liquid.
Yeah.
Low temp cure type liquid.
Right, correct.
So I know you guys were referring to the situation with a bus type booth. Let's look at a smaller situation like a standard spray booth that would be used in liquid painting or powder coating that is just a batch oriented booth. Some critical things that I can think about is when you're talking about the footprint's the size of the area within the facility that this booth can go, right?
Correct.
But what I'm more worried about, and what you should be more worried about, is your actual space within that particular booth once it goes in place.
Sure.
And I can think of so many times where in the powder coating side where you have a booth at let's say 8 by 8, you know, and then you've got a rack that's coming out of a dry off oven with parts on it that's piping hot, and it barely fits in the booth. Mm-hmm. So you have somebody with a powder gun, with a powder hose, and the hose is being dragged all over the hot rack, the basis for the rack, and you got the operator dodging, getting burned, you know, moving around parts. So you need to make sure you understand the size of your racks, the size of your parts, the size of your racks, the line density. All those things have to be thought about, and you might want to add 2 to 3 plus feet out from what that is, so that it gives you maneuverability, safe maneuverability around that rack.
3 to 4 feet. 4 feet is great.
Yep.
3 foot minimum is what I tell our customers. Yep.
So just think about those things when you're going into that. Airflow is a really big factor with the spray booths, with both liquid and powder, but really in the liquid side, because you have a lot of OSHA, OSHA requirements, regulations to get to make sure that the operator goes home safe every night.
Right.
And a big part of that is in the liquid side is getting that solvent paint, whatever it is, away from, when it comes out of that gun and it goes to the part, it doesn't need to linger around. It needs to hit the filter and be captured.
Yeah, that's right.
In a powder side, we have a whole nother scenario. If you get up to a certain ppm in the air with the powder, you can have the explosion, just like a silo explosion or a sugar mill or whatever.
Yeah, and that's usually hygiene of the booth itself.
Yep.
You know,
and it's usually not in a batch booth.
Yeah.
This is usually in a large scenario where you have multi guns shooting just high volumes of powder.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't reach the ppm with 1 or 2 guys just shooting out of now. If they're smoking a cigarette.
And we've seen it all.
We've seen it all. So, basically, I think the keys here, the key takeaways is your footprint, both the footprint in the plant, and then your footprint within the booth. Let's call it that.
Yep.
Proper airflow. Make sure you have proper airflow. Don't undersize the fan. Is critical.
That's right.
And that's where I know GFS has not been one to short that, and not to be apologetic about it. It's like, this is what you need for this to be in compliance.
That's right.
So, cool.
Yep.
Guys,
Thank you
for joining me for this quick video.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, you can check us out at 1-800-334-1001. Just ask whatever you need, and we will try to give you an answer as fast as we can. And check us out at airpowerairwaves.com, airpowerlive.com, and airpower-usa.com.